Donato Carisi brings us into The Labyrinth, which is coming to UK digital download on the 19th of April and stars Dustin Hoffman. Is this mystery thriller worth your time, or should you give this a hard pass? Let's find out. A woman named Samantha wakes up in a hospital 15 years after going missing, which prompts a private investigator to go out and research for the person that imprisoned her in the first place. So as far as mystery thrillers goes, this gives you everything you could possibly want. The mystery overriding this entire story is absolutely brilliant. There are so many twists and turns along the way, and it does trip me up several times throughout the runtime. There are some very clever twists towards the final act that I didn't see coming, and some of the twists that happened can actually ruin the film. It had the potential to ruin the film, but it sticks the landing and course corrects and makes sure that everything makes a logical sense and gives us some outstanding moments where the character will realize something just before we do, which I think is a very rare thing to find, because usually as an audience we are generally given more information on the characters on screen, so we will realize things about 5 or 10 minutes ahead of the characters on screen. But this one, there's that rare case where the roles are completely reversed, and it is all the better for it. Dustin Hoffman is the biggest name within this film, but he is by no means the best part of this film. Whilst he gives a good performance and is a standout part of this movie, the real hero of this movie and the best actor in this is our lead, played by Tony Servillo. He is brilliant in this movie. There is a language barrier that people that will watch this will have to overcome. Part of this movie is primarily in English and part of it is in Italian, and Tony does a fantastic job at portraying a range of emotions. His character is a credit collector who did this one job as a missing persons investigator, and he knows he's at the end of his rope. His heart has nearly given out due to a health condition, but he wants to do that one more good thing before he crosses over into the afterlife. And the way he unveils the mystery and the identity of the kidnapper throughout this runtime is so engaging to watch. This is a classic. There are two plot threads. There is the private investigator looking for the kidnapper, and there is Sam and Dustin Hoffman talking in a hospital room. These plot threads never truly meet in a traditional sense. There is a connection towards the very end, but for the most part, these two are separate stories, and the private investigator's side of the plot is by far the most engaging. But when every plot thread and loose end is tied together at the end, you come to realize that it is absolutely airtight when it comes to the script. It is based on a book. I would actually love to read this book, see what they cut out, if there were any differences that were major between the book and the film. But this is just everything I wanted from the description. It described a woman that wakes up in the hospital after 15 years being kidnapped, and people investigating who kidnapped them in the first place. My only real complaints with this is there are a couple of moments where it does feel like the film is being a bit complicated for complicated's sake, and while the twists you can't see them coming, it has the bare minimum when it comes to setting up them plot threads, and there are some characters that are introduced and shown that really weren't really needed as opposed to doing one scene, and there are a couple of moments of nudity that aren't really required. I guess you could say as to the realism that these people are at home and they are comfortable in their own skin, but there are some moments where the nudity isn't needed. But this is just a minor gripe for me, because it overall doesn't distract from the main overriding plot of this movie. A couple of more positives. I have to say that the set design throughout this is absolutely fantastic, and the lighting and cinematography really complements the setting that we are given. The whole bunny aspect and the way they display the comic that has a key part of this movie is a great idea and a great little invention, and I love the effort put in from the prop designers and set designers. The bunny mask that is prevalent throughout this could have been very goofy, but it was not. It managed to fit into this world really well, and the labyrinth itself and the way it is laid out is absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love the setting. If I had to have another gripe about this, I would say I would have loved to see this as just a straight up horror movie showing Sam's experience within the labyrinth all the way through and her journey to try and get out of this labyrinth, because this could have very much worked in the same vein as films like Cube and the first Saw movie, but by the time things get wrapped up in the finale, you can see why they didn't go down that route. But there is definitely a good horror story in there that could be told separately, but never will, because it would be plagiarism to this movie, which is a shame. But as a mystery thriller, this does everything you would want from the detective, their connections, how they bump heads with the main cops, and how all the threads tie together to give us a couple of twists and turns that we don't see coming, and ties it all together in a neat little bow. I would have loved a bit more of a definitive ending for certain characters, but for the main characters we do get a generally concrete ending. Before I do get into my grade, if you like what I do on this channel, consider clicking that like button and subscribing to the channel for more reviews like this coming all the time. I'm getting a lot of these smaller screeners lately, and I've been enjoying bringing them out to you, and it is very nice to actually be able to talk about one that I genuinely would recommend and do enjoy. Into the Labyrinth has a great concept, tells two stories side by side, and whilst one is definitely stronger than the other, all the loose ends and plot threads tied together to give us some great twists, some great cinematography, and some good set design layouts. I think my favourite set had to be the missing persons room, where it just shows you the scale of how many people go missing on a daily anywhere in the world. It's a great visual representation of the reality of the real world, and I feel like that's one of the big magics of cinema, is how they can really show something to you in a visual medium and open your eyes to things that you kind of take for granted or choose to ignore through most of your life. Overall, for me, Into the Labyrinth, for me, is definitely a good cup of tea. So Into the Labyrinth, have you seen it? If you have, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. I know this is out in most territories. It's only a screener here in the UK, because we don't get it for a couple more weeks. But I would definitely recommend, if you are from the UK and you like a good mystery thriller, I would recommend this as a good watch to kill some time. But until next time, my name is Josh, I have been Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you in the next video.